don't get mad. It's just what it is. Yeah, we talking sports, shout out to Ingravenvids. Yeah, this feels like a dream. And you know just what I mean.
Team Keep It Clean. Welcome to yet another episode of the Team Keep It Clean podcast. It's actually 9:57 a.m. Last week I recorded the episode like a couple days earlier, but today, it's getting recorded today, put out today, because again, I got to make sure that every Wednesday, we got a new episode. So I appreciate y'all checking it out. Thank you for listening. Real quick, shout out to Manscaped. If you want 20% off your order plus free shipping, again, 1/5 off your order. That's a nice chunk off. And that will probably even motivate you to get something extra. Because it happens to me all the time. That's Amazon Prime. It ain't no joke, man. It ain't no joke. If I get a discount code for something, and I go in, even if I go into a store, something like Best Buy or whatever, I go in there thinking, okay, this is what I want, and I'm willing to spend this much. So then I walk in there, and if what I want is I get a discount off of it for some reason, I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I got a little more room to play with. Okay, so how about I get this too? So anyway, you can use code KeepItClean for that 20% off and the free shipping. So I love y'all, appreciate y'all. It is March 10th. We already in March. It's almost the middle of March. And this month it's been cool. It's been cool. Things busy as always. Y'all know how that goes. Tomorrow, Carter, he has an eye surgery. So that, it's been like in and out. Like the nerve's been in and out for that. Some days I'll be nervous about it. Some days I won't be. When it like became official that he was getting eye surgery, he was like, oh man, because we had talked about it like with the eye doctor for years. But we were like, no, we'll try other things first. And so this is pretty much a last resort. So that is tomorrow. And we got to be at the place at 6 a.m. 6 in the morning. So Carter, he, like with him, he's not even scared or anything about the surgery. I think once he's actually like in the bed or in the operating room, whatever, he's going to be asleep. But I think once he's actually like, when they first hook up the anesthesia to him, I think that's when it might hit him. Like that's when he might get a little scared or whatnot. But I think we should be able to be there for that part. I'm not really sure how much we're going to be able to be there for, like be in the room with him for. Because I would assume that we wouldn't be able to be in there while they're doing the actual surgery. But I'm not 100% sure. If we can, I'm going to be there. But if we can't, then we'll just be on the outside room waiting. But yeah, I know my wife, she took off Thursday and Friday from her job. And yeah, so we'll be there. So yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow. The surgery, they said it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And then he'll be in a recovery room for an hour. So the whole process should be, let's say, just about 3 hours. So it's not anything too long, anything like that. But because again, got to be there at 6. So probably wake up like 4:45, head over there. Then I had the surgery, recovery room. Then of course talk to the doctors afterwards and stuff, probably during and afterwards and whatnot. And that'll be that. So haven't figured out how I want to reward him yet. Gonna do something though. I just really don't know what, because he definitely is gonna deserve something. Because it's like, man, it's just like, that's big. This is his first surgery ever. So yeah, hopefully everything goes good. I think it should go good though. Everything should go good. Everything should go smooth. And yeah, that's that. Getting a little more nervous thinking about it now, because by this time tomorrow, he will have had it. So yeah, saying it out louder, more and more like that, it's like, ooh, oh man, it's almost time. Because that's baby boy, man. That's my baby boy. He gets on my nerves like crazy. But that's my baby. And I told him just the other day too. Always got to give him the reminders. Even when he gets on my nerves, say, hey, you always gonna be my baby boy no matter what. No matter what. Even if as annoying as you can be, as frustrating as you can be. But yeah, man, love Carter. So yeah, he'll be good though, man. He gonna do a good job. And yeah, so they did say like after the surgery that he can't go like swimming for like at least like 2 weeks. No going to the beach, no going swimming, none of that. He gotta stay away from that. No PE, anything like that. They would prefer that he's not around any other kids, anything like that. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I understand, because they just don't want to risk anything getting in his eye. Oh, and what this surgery is for is corrective surgery. Because I know it runs on my side of the family. I think I actually have it. It doesn't happen too often, and I can kind of feel when it's happening, so I can like fix it or whatever. But it's like a drifting eye, not a lazy eye, but like sort of a drifting eye. Sometimes it'll like drift, like out of place and whatnot. So that's what the surgery is for, is to correct it. So. That's that, because that's why he had the glasses. He has the glasses because the prescription in the glasses is supposed to strengthen his eye, to where it would straighten it, and it'll work sometime, but it wouldn't solve the problem. And the doctor had been talking to us about surgery. It's like, hey, it's an option, but if you want to try some other things, we can do that first. And we definitely tried other things for a year. I think he had the glasses since he was 2. I think. Because I remember when we first noticed it. I have actually first noticed it. I think I was home with Carter, and I don't know what it was, but he was watching TV. He was watching TV, and I looked, and I saw one of his eyes like drifting. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what is that? So I was a little worried, and I was like, hold up. I called my wife. I was like, hey, his eye was like drifting. And so we called his doctor, and the doctor was like, okay, bring him in. So we brought him into his doctor, and they checked, and they're like, okay, we're going to refer you to I hate the names of these things because I always get them confused. I think it's the ophthalmologist. I think it's the ophthalmologist is the eye doctor, and the optometrist, I want to say, is the not glasses doctor, but the people that give you the glasses, whatever. So they referred us to an ophthalmologist. Oh, and don't ask me how to spell it, because I hate spelling that word. Whenever I spell it, whenever I'm like writing it on the phone, I always spell it wrong every time. But anyway, they referred us to an ophthalmologist, and yeah, we went there. And it's crazy because some people that go to my Kingdom Hall, they had actually went to that same ophthalmologist, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. Small world, very small world. But anyway. And they ain't had nothing but good stuff. And then some people that actually some people that go to my Kingdom Hall that work for 2 different guys. Like there's one family's son. They said that he had surgery from that ophthalmologist, and everything went good. And there's 2 of my friends. They work for eye doctors. Or they work for optometrists. They work at like glasses places. And both of them, they knew who the ophthalmologist was. They were like, oh, okay, yeah, we know him. Yeah, he's good. That's a good office. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's known out here in these streets. I said, all right, okay. So yeah, that was cool. That was nice to know. So yeah, so that's gonna be tomorrow. So that's gonna be something. So anyway, definitely gonna need some strength tomorrow. Oh, but that reminds me, man. I was watching I Am Athlete. Y'all know I love I Am Athlete. Love that podcast, that show, that group of guys. It's just, man, it's the best. I love it. Because that, just the whole thinking about Carter and the surgery and whatnot, and just any kind of possible pain that he may go through. It reminded me of the episode of I Am Athlete that I watched, not from this week, because this week they had Bubba Wallace on. I still haven't finished that whole episode. I watched most of it, but it was this week was probably my least favorite episode out of all of them. Like, I think the one with Cam Newton was probably my favorite, and the one last week was probably a close second favorite. I loved it, but because it was so real, man. And of course, I Am Athlete. That's the podcast with Brandon Marshall, Fred Taylor, Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, and Channing Crowder. And they always have, or sometimes they have guests on. They've had Cam Newton on, and like I said, this week the guest was Bubba Wallace. They've had Terrell Owens on. They've had Destroying on. He's a YouTuber, football YouTuber. They've had DK Metcalf on. They had Justin Jefferson on. They had this women's basketball player on. I don't remember her name. My apologies. And they've had some more people on too. So, but what they were on this past episode, they were talking about because Ocho Cinco, that was a big part of the episode because he was talking about how his mom passed, and I was like, oh man. I remember I was listening to it. The first time I listened to it, I was riding my bike. I was on a bike ride. I was on a long bike ride. And I was like, you know what? I'm going on a long bike ride. So you know what? Let me put on I Am Athlete. Put it on. Was listening to it. And I was like, oh, man. I'm over here riding my bike. I'm outside. My eyes start getting watery while I'm listening to it. Because it's like, man, that part just hit, man. That whole episode just hit. And I was like, wow. Because he was talking about how his mom was he called her his hurricane. And I'm like, man. I said, I can't imagine that. Can't imagine that. Don't want to imagine that. And I was like, oh man, that's tough, man. Because this dude, like Ocho Cinco, what, like 38 maybe 38, maybe 39. Let me look up how old he is right now. I don't even know which name to look up. Chad Johnson or Chad Ocho Cinco. He is. Oh, he's 43. What? Really? Wow. He's 43. I thought he was like late 30s. Wow, he looks great, man. That dude definitely keeping himself in great shape. He's 43? That is crazy. I did not know that. Wow. But anyway, he's from Miami. Shout out to him. Anyway, but yeah, he was talking about how it is just tough. It was tough. He said when the day that it happened, he said he got a call from his brother. He said his brother hit him up. He said he picked up the phone. His brother was just crying. So he said he had to hang up. And he said he started getting calls from like different family members who he didn't even know had his new number. So he said he knew what it was already. And he said they did have a rocky relationship, but still, like, there was that. He talked about how there was that love there. There was always that love there. So that was special, man. So cause you could tell that he even though they didn't have the best relationship, he definitely had a deep appreciation. That's his mom. That's his mom, and I like how Channing Crowder put it. And I never thought about it like this before. I was like, oh wow. He was like, your mom. That's the first person that you remember. That's the very first person that you remember. It's the first person that you both meet and remember. So it's like, and when he said that, I was like, oh wow, that's true. So I mean, I'm grateful for my mom, cause she's the real deal, man. And for what she went through with me and put up with me, and like, oh boy, like kudos to her. So thank you, mommy. I love you. I know you're listening to this, cause she like I told y'all before, man. So the support is crazy. She's super supportive, man. Super supportive. I know yesterday, I think they said, what is this month? Into Women's Month, I think. And I think they said yesterday was International Women's Day. But like my support system, my direct support system, my wife, my mom, like they like super supportive, man. And I love how they give balanced support too. That's probably my favorite part, because I appreciate that. Like I don't want anybody, I would never want anybody around me to be like a yes man or a yes woman, to where anything that I say, anything that I do, they, oh yeah, that's great, awesome, good job, yeah, you should do it, okay, good job, great, keep that up. No. If I'm doing something good, okay, cool. But if I'm doing something bad, something that is off, something that wouldn't be a good, yeah, let me know. And yes, they both, my wife, she would definitely let me know, and my mom, she would definitely let me know. So I always appreciate that from both of them. So, but yeah, man. And another thing they touched on in the episode too was about dealing with your children, and something. And when they said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's me all day. Because Brandon Marshall, he brought it up when he talked about how, like, the coddling and the comforting. Like if a boy falls, a lot of men will be like, all right, you cool, it's fine, you okay, you get up, you're fine. But when he said that part, I was like, oh, that's me all day. That's me all day. But then he was like, but if a girl falls, like if a little girl falls, then we'll be like, oh no, it's okay, you can cry, oh, let me hold you, let me comfort you, da 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 da. And I was thinking, well, that's not me. I would still say the same thing to the girl too, like, it's okay, you can get up. But I did understand exactly what he meant though. And he was saying how something like that is little things like that, they can add up over time to where a male growing up, and as he enters teenager, adulthood and all that, if that continues to happen, then he may not feel comfortable showing emotion. So I was like, oh wow, that's deep. Cause I'm like, man, I do that with Carter all the time. Like if he falls or something, oh man, get up. You okay? You all right? It ain't a big deal. And then I'm like, man, and so just yesterday, he was on the table coloring. He was coloring, and the table is like, it's not a table where, it's like a table for adults. So it's more high up. I mean, he sits there all the time, but it's more high up. So when he sits in the chair, his feet are not on the ground. His feet will be dangling from the chair. So even when I sit in the chair, my feet are dangling from the chair. So it's kind of high up, not like crazy high or anything like that. But he was coloring yesterday, and then he's like, oh, I'm cold. So he went to go get a blanket. So he had in the chair, he had the blanket behind him and wrapped around him, and he was coloring. So I was in the office doing work. I had the door open. I forgot. I might have been editing a video or something, but I had the door open. And maybe I was just in the office. I think I might have been looking at something on my phone. Either way, I was like right there. I was like, because my office is like right next to the kitchen and right next to that table too. So all of a sudden I hear throom. So I come out and he was on the ground, like holding his head. And his crayons, they were everywhere. They were all over the floor. He was on the ground crying. So the first thing I did, immediately I picked him up. But then like I thought about like, hold up. I ain't gonna tell him like it ain't a big deal. And I don't want him to be dramatic or anything like that. But I was like, I'm not gonna tell him to stop crying, because normally I would. I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna let him cry, and I just hold him. So I just picked him up. I picked him up, and I held him, and I was just rubbing on his back, trying to comfort him. And so I took him and picked him up and took him over to the couch, and I just sat there with him. Just sat there and laid there with him. And he was crying, just crying, getting it out. He wasn't bleeding or anything. He was fine, but he was crying, and I was like, okay, it's baby steps. But it just felt good being able to let him get it out, and just sit there with him and comfort him. And he got over it, cause he cried for a little bit, like I said, but he ended up getting over it, and after that, he was straight. We ended up watching Captain Marvel, and that was that. He was fine. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this for sure. But so we'll see how that goes. So shout out to Carter, man. But shout out to I Am Athlete for even bringing that topic up, because I probably wouldn't have even thought about it. Moving on to Carter also with his school, his teacher. I don't know if y'all remember everything that was going on from 2 weeks ago or 2 episodes ago in the podcast where we talked about how a lot of the parents in his class, they are not feeling the teacher. They're not feeling her. There was one that was like, hey, she typed in our little parents WhatsApp group chat, and she was like, hey guys, thanks for everything, but my kid, I'm sending them back to the school, and they're gonna be in a different class. It's like, oh, okay, well, all right then. But ever since somebody snitched about the group chat, somebody told the teacher that, and that's the worst thing. A parent A told the teacher about parent B having a problem with the teacher. It's like parent A didn't even talk about themselves. They weren't like, oh, I'm parent A and I have a problem with you. No, they said I'm parent A, but parent B has a problem with the way you do this. So then parent B either was talking to the teacher and the teacher approached parent B about it. I'm not sure how the parent B said it got brought up, but parent B said that the teacher talked to her about it. And the teacher knew because parent A told her. And that's, oh boy, that's why I didn't want to get into none of that drama. But anyway, I told Carter's teacher last week that I said, hey, Miss Carter's teacher, I said and today is Wednesday. I told her this last week, like Thursday or Friday. I think maybe it was Wednesday or Thursday. Anyway, sometime last week, I told her, hey, there's this app that they use on the computer that ever since last like Wednesday or Thursday, we haven't been able to get into. We have not been able to get into it. They kicked us out, and it's asking for a code, a class code, so we can get back in. And it's some kind of important app because that's how Carter turns in all of his work. That's how the teacher told him to turn in all of his work. So what I did when they kicked us out, I had remembered that recently, not super recently, but in the past like month or so, she had sent us the passwords to log into that app. So I went and checked my emails. I checked this other app, this communication app that she uses to communicate with all of us parents. I checked all the messages that I could in those, didn't see anything. I checked all my emails and didn't see anything for any passwords or codes, anything. So I was like, okay. So then I told her last week, it's like, hey, we haven't been able to get in. And she was like, oh, okay. There was another parent that told me the same thing. Maybe the system just having issues. I'm like, okay, cool. So I give it a day. So then the next day, still wasn't working. I'm like, okay. Still not working. So then this week, I was like, okay, maybe it'll get fixed over the weekend. Okay, we'll see. Over the weekend, still didn't get fixed. Okay, all right. So I had messaged her about it again, and I messaged her about it again, and she was like, "Oh, she was like, I sent the code to you. It should be in your previous messages. So if you scroll up and check your previous messages, it should be there." And she's like, I'm not at the school right now, so I don't have access to it. I said, okay. And I was thinking, I said, I already did that, but I didn't tell her that. But I was thinking, I already did that, but you know what? I'll do it again. No problem. I'll do it again. So, and then I was like, I said, I scrolled up. I said, I checked, but I didn't see anything. I said, I checked emails too, but I didn't see anything. And then she told me too, she was like, I sent it on January 22nd. I sent it on January 22nd is when I sent it to you. Because if you scroll back up to the messages from January 22nd, then it'll be there. I said, okay. All right. I will check that. I'll check January 22nd. So I went and checked that specific date. But in the messages, it goes from January 21st to January 24th. So for the 22nd, nothing was there. And then she was like, oh, well, that's the day that I sent it to you. So then after that, she ends up just sending me the code. And I was like, oh boy. We could have avoided all this conversation if you would have just done this from the jump. Like, you could have just sent it to me. Carter could have been in. He could have been sending his work from there. You could have just, boom. You could have just sent it to me. But we had to go around this merry-go-round. Oh, it's here. Oh, it's there. No, it's on this date. No, I don't see it. No, we had to go around all this. And you could have just sent it to me. And see, with that, and it's funny because I was telling my wife everything that was going on as it was going on. And I'm like, man, I told my wife, why won't she just send it to me? And I was like, I said, she does, at least she's consistent, because she does this same thing with the kids too. And that's when it's more frustrating for me. She hasn't done it with Carter because I'm able to be there with Carter. But I feel bad for these other kids when it's done to them, because it's like, man, like these dudes they 5, 6 years old. These dudes don't know what responsibility is. And you can obviously start teaching it to them at a young age and whatnot, but they 5, 6 years old. This is still weird. Even though they more used to it by now, this is still really weird. This online school thing, it's weird. It's different. It's weird. So it's what they do and it's for math specifically, but it happens in other subjects too, but for math specifically. What they are assigned to do, they have 6 pages of math work, usually every day, that they're supposed to do. And those 6 pages, they'll be in the syllabus, in the schedule, whatever it's called. But then sometimes when it's time to go to math, she'll be like, okay, get out your math pages. And then a kid will ask, like, oh, well, what page are we doing, Miss Carter's teacher? And she'll be like, well, it's on the schedule. You need to check the schedule. And the kid will just be sitting there lost because she just won't tell them the pages. And it's like, yeah, I understand you want the kids to get used to checking the schedule. I get that 100%. But right there, and let this be like a prop, in my opinion. Everybody is different though, so this is just my opinion. I can't tell somebody how to teach or whatever. But what I would do, okay, if you really want to get them used to checking the schedule or whatnot, take care of that later. Why would you want a kid to be left behind just because they don't know what pages it's on? And it's like, instead of, like, for me, not that you should be giving them an easy way out or anything like that, but make it more simple. Cause hey, Miss Carter's teacher, what page are we on? Oh, it's page 324, 325, and 326. Instead she'll be like, oh, well, you should check the schedule. It's on the schedule. I put it on the schedule. And it's like, really, man? Like, just tell the kids. So you don't, like, it's hard because I want to say that what the kids get out of the class is a direct reflection of the teacher, but it's not necessarily true, because this whole situation is not the norm. It's not regular. But I feel like you make a hard situation for the kids. You make it even harder when you do stuff like that. You make it even hard. It does not have to be that hard. And for these kids, you don't know what their parents are able to do for them. You don't know what their parents aren't able to do for them. And that's why I tell y'all all the time, man. If I couldn't be right there with Carter, oh boy, and he just had to go by being in the class by himself, doing his own, oh boy, it would be rough. It would be rough. It would be so bad. Because he wouldn't get anything out of it. And a lot of these parents, they're busy. They're crazy busy. They're busy because they still got to work too. They still got to work. So I just, that can be a little frustrating when she does that. Because it's like, man, what? Just tell them excuse me. Just tell them what page it is. And if you really feel like, oh, they need to learn how to check the schedule, well, you can have a conversation with the parent later on. You can send them a little message on the messaging app that you use. You can send that to them later on. Set up a conference call, set up whatever, and talk to them about it then. But don't, like, make the kids suffer just because, like, that bothers me sometimes. But anyway, whew, that's that. So, shout out to Carter. This is gonna be a quite the next couple of days, but he'll do good, man. He'll do good. So anyway, team, keep it clean. Appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank you for listening. Sorry this is such a shorter episode. I do have a lot of work to do. I am always behind, and with the NFL, I think they just like about 15 minutes ago, they just came out with what the official salary cap is. Official salary cap. So things about to get crazy. A lot of teams are over the salary cap. Some teams are super close to the salary cap. And other guys are, it's just wild, man. So we are going to see exactly how that goes. It's just gonna be, NFL is gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. But hey, I'm here for it. That's what we signed up for, man. But anyway, so y'all, next week. Oh, let me tell y'all next week, and we'll talk about this on the regular channel too. But I guess anybody that listens to the podcast will sort of have that heads up, even though some people know already. Next week, free agency starts on Monday. Well, the legal tampering period. It's one of the dumbest things ever. They need to just get rid of that. But anyway, that starts on Monday. So I'm telling you right now, next week, turn your notifications on. You're going to get a lot of notifications. It's going to be crazy next week. Next week is going to be an insane week for the NFL. Because it's going to be crazy. I remember last year, there was one day in free agency where we did either 10 or 13 videos in one day. In one day. It gets crazy. So I'm letting y'all know now. It's going to be wild. So just be ready for that. Anyway, I love y'all. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. And we out.